Charing Cross is set in Birkenhead, and it's a welcoming place. There are lots of welcoming people, and it's the place itself is complicated, post-industrial, messy, wonderful place to work. But the church is set right in the heart of Birkenhead, and they've always, all the time I've known anything of them, been a welcoming church. When we arrived here, we saw things in people, gifts and skills that we encouraged, so that there is somebody to welcome people at the door when they come in, because that's who they are and that's what they like to do. Those people have learning issues and come to us from all sorts of different backgrounds, and they just love to do that, so we let them, and that's not a problem. When you come into Charing Cross, you find it's a place with lots of diverse people and needs and issues and things. So in actual fact, if you came in and thought you weren't welcome, it's probably because you're very nice and polite and quiet and like a nice, quiet, polite atmosphere, and there's lots of churches where you could find that. There's lots more movement here, there's lots more open questions in the middle of services, there's lots more conversations at tables, sometimes when they're meant to happen, sometimes when they're not, but it just works, and we're comfortable with that, and we encourage preachers to come here who are comfortable with that, and it works quite well. In the church there are lots of adults with children with learning difficulties who are now young adults, so we have to make a church first of all that's friendly for them. Some of them came here as a result of not feeling comfortable elsewhere. And they've set up an environment where their children first and foremost feel welcome, and then hopefully that develops into somewhere where everyone's welcome. It's not an easy way to do church, it's complicated, but it's also beautiful. And somebody will shout something out that you haven't planned at all, which actually makes more sense than anything I've said in a morning. If you want to be welcoming, be welcoming. And it really is as straightforward as that. There are places where only their kind are welcome. I've walked into environments where unless you know the Lord's Prayer, you're not going to be able to join in with it because it's not written down anywhere, and it's complicated, and it alienates people from what's going on inside. So it's got to be a desire to be welcoming rather than an attempt. Belonging as part of the family is being allowed to do what it is you do. So we've got people who have almost no language skills who do puppetry and do it really well. We've got people who just like to serve, so they've got jobs at the canteen and serving food and drinks and things like that. We let people be who they are. There are people with very little reading ability who still like to do readings, and we encourage that because they're developing themselves and they're being positive. Now sometimes it's not always easy to hear what they've said, but there's a patience in that, and we go from that to then talking about the reading, and any important bits will be repeated anyway, so it doesn't actually matter that much. It's about not worrying too much and just being who we are. I think it's just the conversation where nobody's treated as less. So we don't have a children's table specifically, although they do gravitate, but we have adult conversation as well as conversation with young people. It's mixed. And usually we go round, those of us who are stewards or leading worship will go round the tables while conversations are happening. I think some are almost more afraid of being in a setting where special needs is normal than they are in a mainstream setting, because if you're trying to encourage your child to be good and sit still and behave, then it's actually more difficult in an environment where movement is encouraged and where it's okay. And it's trying to help people see that actually it's okay just to be you at church and not to behave in a way that's different from any other context. So it is about making it a place where people feel comfortable just to be who they are.